Okay, so since they're once again twisting the narrative to make my mother's death my fault, I feel the need to explain what happened with my mother. Last year, I started receiving messages from people saying that my mother was dying, that it was her kidneys or her liver. And I made a video putting out that I would help my mother in exchange for an honest conversation about my childhood. If she needed a kidney, I'm a universal donor and I'm also her child. Most likely it would be a fit. I was willing to give my mother a kidney in exchange for an honest conversation about my childhood. I was willing to give my mother a part of my liver in exchange for an honest conversation about my childhood. After I put out this statement, they started commenting in my section that I wanted her to lie. I just wanted her to lie, and if she wouldn't lie for me, then she would have to die. She would just have to die if she wouldn't lie for me. Lie, 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 lie. All you want to do is lie. I specifically said an honest conversation. After that, I followed up specifically saying I'm not asking her to lie. The entire point is to get to the truth. The entire point was to show the world the truth, that I did not lie. The entire reason I needed to show the world the proof that I didn't lie in my first book was because Kathy felt the need to review it, stating that everything in it was a lie, and then go on to make herself a YouTube channel stating that everything I say and do is a lie, that I'm evil and malicious and a liar. And it made me desperate to get evidence of the truth because thousands of people were supporting her and believing that I was a liar when I told the truth. She had thousands of people telling her that they loved her and supported her and believed her. And I desperately needed people to believe what I went through because I went through it. And it was my own abusive family denying it. Again, once again, the abusers were being supported and loved over me. And I was willing to do anything to get the truth out. I was willing to drastically shorten my own life by giving up a kidney or part of my liver, just for the truth to be known. A few months later, I received messages saying, well, now your mom's dead, and it's all your fault because you didn't help. You didn't do this. You didn't give her one of your organs without any stipulations. If you had just taken away the stipulations, she could have lived. If I had just given her a life-saving organ for absolutely nothing at all, which nobody in this universe is going to do. So I need to make something clear. You don't owe your vital organs to another human being, to anyone. Your organs belong to you alone. Your parents do not have the right to blackmail you for your organs, to tell you that you must not love them if you won't let somebody cut you open and shorten your lifespan for them. That's garbage. Please don't have children if you're only using them for spare parts to lengthen your own existence. Because that's what it feels like. When you're telling me that it's my fault my mother died because I would not give her an organ, it feels like you're telling me the only reason she had me was for the possibility of new organs after she destroyed hers chemically. It's not my fault she destroyed her organs. And I know some of you say, well, birthing you wasn't very easy. No, it wasn't. It was in the back of a car. It would have been much easier if she had chose to go to a hospital. But instead, she chose to listen to her abusive husband, who told her that if she went to the hospital, the baby would be taken away because of the drugs in her system. So she was attempting to have me at home and let whatever happened, happened. Likely I would have just died, because as it was, I almost died. See, after I was born in the back of a car, they life-flighted me to the hospital, and once my parents took me home, my mother just neglected me. She put me down in a playpen and walked away. My grandmother came to check on me and found my mother standing at the sink, staring out the window, unresponsive. She wouldn't say anything. I was laying in a playpen, unchanged, untouched, except from a rat that was eating a hole in my thigh. Scars I still have on my thigh. They've been bifurcated from time, so there's 2 scars now because my leg is like 3 times the size it was when I was an infant. Probably 10, sorry. I'm not good with numbers. Anyways, so my grandmother just picked me up and took me. She said, I'm taking the baby. And my mom didn't respond. So she took me outside and she said, Larry, we're taking the baby. And he said, okay. And they went to Walmart and he went inside and found a sales lady and said, I just had a baby and I need everything. And she got him everything. And for 6 months I lived with my grandmother until my mother called, fighting with my father. She was pregnant again with my little brother. And they were having an argument because he said that she had just had a baby and she didn't know where the baby was, so she didn't believe that she had had one. My mother forgot I existed immediately after I was born. Why, 37 years later, would I let a doctor cut into my body and take out one of my organs to give to that woman for absolutely nothing in return? I wasn't wanting money. I wasn't wanting anything valuable to anybody in this world except me. I was wanting the truth to validate my life that Kathy has denied, with no evidence of why she's denied it. And when I say no evidence of why she's denying it, I mean the fact that Kathy knows it's the truth and she's denying it just to hurt me. Just to start a campaign and slander me as a liar. Kathy knows my father was abusive. She has said so. In other videos, she has said, yes, he hit your mother. Yes, we knew he hit her. But there was nothing anybody could do. Yes, there was. You were her sister. You claimed to be so close to her. You could have done something. You could have talked to her. You could have filed police reports against him. But it's easier for Kathy. It's easier for her to just put it all out of her mind. Because in those years where my mother was being beat and her children were being neglected and sexually abused, and emotionally tormented. In those years where my mother was going through that with her children, Kathy was in Georgia living a wonderful life with her children and her money and constantly bragging to everybody else in the family about how perfect she was. And my mother hated her. My mom despised Kathy. Every time she came up, my mother would get angry and start talking about how perfect Kathy's life was and how nobody else could ever have anything as good as Kathy did. Because Kathy was such a narcissist that she made my mom feel that way by showing off her fancy, perfect life while doing absolutely nothing to protect my mother from the abusive monster that she married. It was like, oh yeah, Katrina's got a black eye, she's been beat bad again, but here, look at this Christmas card with my beautiful, perfect children who aren't being beaten every night. Happy holidays, sister. Not gonna call you for another year, and I don't care to hear what's happening in your life, but I really want to show you how perfect everything is here. Y'all don't know my family. You've taken sides, but you don't know them. I didn't want my mother to die, but I also didn't feel like it was my responsibility to keep her alive. She didn't feel like it was her responsibility to keep me alive when I was a day old. What was I supposed to feel for her? All I wanted was the truth. That she could have offered that and extended her life and gone on drinking and doing drugs because I wasn't even asking her to stop drinking. Have my liver. You can drown it in alcohol if you want. I don't care. All I want is a 5-minute conversation that acknowledges my pain. And I personally believe Kathy never gave her that option. Because Kathy wanted to make sure that nobody ever validated my existence. She needed to make sure that my mother never had that conversation with me, so she never told my mother it was a possibility, and she sat there and she waited and she let my mother die while that offer sat on the table for months. And then told me it was my fault, even though I offered. It's not my fault. It might be a little bit of Kathy's, but mostly it's my mother's. Because my mother is the one that started drinking when she was 13 years old and would not stop. My mother was the one that was injecting herself with heroin. I didn't do that to her. She's the one that stayed with a man beating her in the kidneys for 30 years. I tried to get her out. I told police, and I got beat. I told people at school, and I got beat. He wouldn't have hit Kathy if she had told somebody. Because she was an adult that didn't live in his house. Kathy was the one that actually had the power to help when I was a child because she was an adult. She wouldn't. Because she says my mother made her choices. And therefore, everybody in that house deserved to suffer the consequences. all I wanted was the truth. And now all I want is a tissue